Hello and welcome to Qsports. I am Umudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. Coming up tonight is the Africa Cup of Nations draw. Reaction from the Gambia, especially from a legendary perspective. We'll be talking about that exclusively, as well as a look at the past in Gambian football. And we have some of the most senior people. One of them is a journalist and the other one has been in the thick of things when Gambian football was virtually nowhere, and they pioneered. They played themselves and they were coaches as well. So we'll talk about that as well on the show. Welcome and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is Qsports and I am Umudu Gajaga. I'm joined in the studio by Tijan Masani Sise, a veteran journalist, commentator, sports writer, if you want, broadcaster. And also on my left is Alhaji Mas Aksigai, who doesn't know him in Gambian sports. Maybe if you were born in the late 80s like myself, you wouldn't know anything about him. But we've read about him and we've known his contribution to Gambian sports. He's been a coach, one of the trained coaches in the early days of Gambian football. We'll talk to him about football in the past. But first, reactions of the Gambian public in the Africa Cup of Nations draw, which was held in Cameroon. We were all glued to our television, curious to the pit to know which teams are we drawn against. And finally, we are drawn in Group F, the last group. In terms of the rankings, it's Tunisia that comes on top, and then Mali second in that group, in that order, and then Mauritania, and then you have Gambia at the bottom of the group. But once we start kicking the ball, hopefully that's going to change. Tijan Masanis, welcome to the program.
Thanks. It's my pleasure, of course, to be here this afternoon and in the company of a legend in his own right. Of course, the first trained Gambian coach in Gambian football history, has coached the Gambian national team many, many years, Ambassador Mas Aksigai. It's a pleasure being here. I know I've interviewed you over 100 times, so it's really divine intervention that we're sitting here today. Now, going to the subject matter, I think, I look at the group. I think it's a tough group in the sense that the way the teams play and the rankings that you just went to. And I know Ambassador, who is a better technician, will talk about that. But my whole point in this group is this. The most important game that the Gambia has ever played since 1951 will be against Mauritania, okay? Because that schedule works in our favor, quite frankly, because we can beat Mauritania. It's different now because I've seen Ambassador as a coach destroy Mauritania many, many times. But given what their government has done infrastructure-wise, the money that they've put into this sport in Mauritania, it skyrocketed them, and they're one of the best teams now in the continent. However, on any given day, Gambia can beat Mauritania. So that's why that game is important. Because if we beat Mauritania, we can shoot for a draw. Now, the fact notwithstanding also, we get motivated after a forced win. We can beat Mali. We've played Mali. We've beaten Mali. I've seen him coach against Mali and beat Mali many times. So my whole point is 4 third-place teams go into the next round. So Gambia has a great, great chance to go into the second round. Now, all those teams, they play very fast. If Mali is a fast-paced team, Mauritania is a fast-paced team, Tunisia the same. So one of the things that this coach will have to do, he'll have to fix that midfield to play against those teams. That is a must. But I will let Ambassador, who is whose acumen in football, actually, I've called him the best brain in Gambian football all time, without a doubt, given what he's done, what I've seen him done when he came back from Germany. So I'll leave the technical aspect to him.
Yes, fantastic. Alhaji Mas Aksigai, welcome to Qsports.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure calling me here. For the first time, I said coming into the studio. I'm impressed and I'm very much happy about coming here. Tijan brings me, like I told you earlier, Tijan is an archive which we've missed in Gambian football, but at least he's carrying some information in him. So it's very important to get Tijan around.
Your reaction to the AFCON draw, looking at we being paired against Mauritania?
Congratulations to the Gambia. One thing I always say is about our qualification to this Nation Cup. People were asking, when will Gambia qualify? When will Gambia qualify? But at the time, I told a lot of people that, we've not been in the class yet. When people were bringing 15, 20 professional players, we were dealing with 1 or 2 and local players together, group them together, so we are not in the same class. Now we are lucky that at least we are getting our team from Europe. We are a class in them. So it's neck and neck. So this is the time. The time has ripened and we've taken our chance and did well, of course. But let us remember that the present federation has been lucky to witness or to meet with the qualification of the boys, but it started long ago. We started it long ago.
Some people have pioneered it first.
Pioneered it, put their monies there, their sweat, their dedication, much inspired. So the fruit has ripened today. So somebody must take over, start eating. So it's their time.
Tell us about your memories of meeting Mauritania. You've watched Mauritania play against Gambia, famously in the America Cabral, the Zone 2.
You see, before the Cabral, in private international competitions, we used to beat them, we as the players, we beat them as players.
Yes.
When we retired, we took over as coaches, we still continue beating them. But lately, as Tijan said, the developmental aspect of football in Mauritania was so fast that they're taking over from us. They are going for the second year, second Cup of Nations, but we are going for the first time.
First time.
That's incumbency. They may be a foot ahead of us, so we have to run after them. In as much as we qualified, we are, newcomers into this activity. So people who were there must have an edge over you. Nevertheless, as Tijan said, I believe we can always beat Mauritania.
Maybe let's come into the technical aspect of the game. Tijan has just set the tone. Well, I've watched Gambia play of the recent, I have to say, not in the past. Our team play possessional football, but it's a little bit slow, and our players are not as energetic as the other teams. I see Mali play very fast football, high intensity match. When they lose the ball, they quickly fight back to regain possession. The same thing, even the day that we qualified against Angola, they virtually dominated possession, but we scored the goal, even though we were playing at home. So I don't know, getting into the Africa Cup of Nations, do you have to follow your opponent's tactic, or you have to stick to your own tactic?
It could be very dangerous to stay into your own tactics, because playing in that level, there is chances that, there is a playing level of football in that type of competition. And all these teams already adapted to that. We either go and adapt to that system, run fast with them, but if you want to go and stay back as we played in our qualifying rounds, it may be very dangerous, because the faster you play, the better you play.
But I'm afraid if you want to play that fast football and you don't have the players to be able to keep that constant intensity of the game for 90 minutes, what happens then?
Then you have,
if you allow your players to run 45 minutes for staff.
You need to have good technicians to stop the fast people playing. Because in all aspects of football, there is a situation where you can counter the situation of an opponent. He'll play fast, you can play slow, but you can stop them. Depending, you have the people who can stop fast players. But if the pattern in the Nation Cup is fast football, my friend, you need to be fast.
So there we go. We have to start working on that, teacher.
That takes me back, Coach, to 1985, Gambia, Mauritania, when their team returned from Brazil. You remember they spent quite a number of time in Brazil. And we were playing them in the semifinals of the Amilcar Cabral football tournament.
That's the toss of the coin?
And they beat us, they started off 2-0 real fast. What did you do that day? Because you made some strategic changes. Bladder CB came out, you brought in Idarkar, you changed goalkeepers, and we tied the game and beat them from the penalty spot. What did you do? Because they were a faster team, just coming from Brazil. I remember that.
That's why I'm saying you need to know that this is a fast type of playing football, and you don't have the fast people. You have to have clever people to stop them. You have to frustrate them. They run, you stop them. They run, you stop them. At the end of the day, they back off. Then you can be on them. But if you don't have the good quality to stop them, my friend, you will suffer lots of goals.
Well, I've interviewed the Gambia coach, Tom Senfade. We've often criticized him.
Yeah.
When he came in newly in the qualifiers, we played against Algeria. Well, of course, we played against Morocco. That was a friendly, but Algeria was a competitive match. It was a qualifier, 1-1 in Banjul. And then in the return leg in Algiers, it also ended 1-1. But our criticism has always been based on why do you allow your opponents to come at you? You defend virtually the entire 90 minutes. Yes, when you get the opportunity to hit them on the counter, you do. Yes, you're getting results, but at the end of the day, we are not happy with the brand of football. He says his formation is organized attacking football. That's how he qualifies it. So when we get into the nitty-gritties of the technicalities of playing football in the continent, especially at this level, you would need fast players. You would need players who can run for 90 minutes or 90 minutes plus. Imagine if you get into the round of 16, which is a knockout. If the game ends in a 0-0 draw in 90 minutes, you go into extra time. And from extra time, you go to penalty shootouts.
Let me first of all, since a high premium is placed on accuracy, Coach, I was talking about the Zone 2 in 1980 at Boxbar Stadium when I alluded to that game that you made those tactical changes. Now, like you just said, Gambia, we have to bring our A game into that aircraft when it takes off from Banjul International Airport. The team, I am positive, the team is going to be prepared from a mental, psychological, and physical standpoint. Now, this is the time that this nation needs to come together. You know, we don't need distractions as far as going to the Cup of Nations is concerned. We need to come together as one people, one nation, motivate these boys to go into Cameroon and represent our country. They will be prepared without a doubt. This is huge for our country. You know, we just went into Tokyo and Genabas has placed us on the map. Now, going into Cameroon, from that, the eyes are going to be on Gambia again. I know a lot of countries are doubting us. Well, we were doubted in 1965. It's okay to doubt us. But Gambia, we've never given up. You know, we have that killer instinct that when we go out as a country, we show the world that what brings us together far outweighs what divides us. And what better game to bring us together at this time? With these kids, our football ambassadors, going to the biggest football bonanza in the continent. So I think what we need to do is to support them, you know, and be behind them, come together as one people, work with the Football Federation. They are entrusted with the responsibility of administrating football in this country. Negatives we need to put aside. Now, what's more important is the common denominator that binds us all, the Republic of the Gambia. So that's my take on that.
Fantastic. Well, we are going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll still continue the discussion looking at Gambian football in the past, but of course, we'll have to talk about the recent, because as we sit here right now, the draw has already been made for the Africa Cup of Nations Cameroon 2021, but it's going to be played in 2022, of course, in January, between January and February. Gambia's chances, our group opponents, how good are they, and how good are we, or what are some of our weakening points as far as the national team is concerned? Well, one of the most controversial things that we're going to discuss on this program is going to be team selection. When you are a coach, why do you select player X over player Y? We are going to engage Elijah Masaksi guy on that. And then we journalists would be here in the studio. Oh no, what do I gel key? Ki la wara gel? And all of that, you know.
He's dealt with that many times.
Definitely. We're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion.
The best product in town is back. Qcells MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. Qcell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, and thank you if you're just joining us. This is Qsports and I'm Mamudu Gachaka. We're talking about the Gambia in the Africa Cup of Nations, their maiden AFCON finals. We've been trying for decades. There have been near misses, there have been points where we thought, okay, we are going to make it this time around, but it never happened until this time. Like in our discussion, we have a former coach, somebody who has been a diplomat, and as well as when it comes to sports, he's been a brand ambassador. Alhaji Masaksigai is with me in the studio, and veteran journalist Tijan Masani Sise. So I am well fed as a kid who needs breast milk. I've been giving a lot and more than enough. So Alhaji Masaksigai, we've been talking about the Gambia, looking at our chances and our opponents in the African Cup of Nations. When it comes to team selection, well, modern football requires that you select the players that are currently in form in their clubs, because 99% of the players that are playing in our national team currently play their club football in Europe. So they have to be in top shape, top form. The players who are playing week in, week out. Mostly, as journalists, that's what we say. These are the players that need to be selected. So when it comes to the player selections, I don't know, you as a coach, how do you go about that?
Let me put it clearly. In terms of selection, I mean, if you watch the European League, there is an average running period of a player after he is called out of football and replaced. He's done 9 kilometers, he's done 6 kilometers. In fact, that measurement goes right into the training ground. You measure the power of training of individual players. That's how you select them. Sometimes Gajaga is the best, but I mean, your performance these 3 days in terms of looking for the game, Tijan did better than you, you will come second, Tijan will come first. That's a pattern we normally use. Again, in line of discipline. Disciplinary measures are taking. I'll give you an example. We had an international match, a national team camp at the police depot. You remember?
83.
83. May God forgive him. Goalkeeper Saho was the key goalkeeper in Gambia at the time, number one in the national team. We were to spend the night in depot for the next day's game. By 9 o'clock, this chap left the camp. In the morning, when we wake up to do our blackboard, etc., team talk, nobody can find Mr. Saho. Then I call, am I late? May God forgive him. We have a problem, Saho. It's not to be found. He didn't spend the night here. He said, let us get Lai Nur. Lai Nur was the second goalkeeper. But Lai was not prepared to replace Saho at the moment. Then we went down to the second team where we found Sangdong and bring him. We go and call him, come, you are going to play. Saho came by 11 and everything went out. Everybody was resting. What is happening? Sang is going to play. Now I'm leaving the camp. He packed up and left the camp and informed the whole camp that he's not playing. On that day, my brother, Bosba Stadium was busting.
You were the coach?
Yes. People cannot accept a junior player like Sang replacing Sao at that moment. You see, they didn't know what we suffered. You see, that's the point.
Yeah.
You're talking about your liking, but you don't know, we the coaches, what we suffered. And besides, the teacher will tell you that the best pupil is the pupil that I will say, pass that way, he will pass that way, he will play. I mean, the stubborn people will never be the friend of the teacher. So you put him down. That day, Sang come out. Well, Tijan.
I think I want to add, Sangdong, after that big game, was the best goalkeeper in West Africa.
And we took him we continued taking him.
Yeah.
We took him to Libya.
Yeah, he was the best keeper in West Africa for a good whole year. He suited up against big teams like Ghana, Mali.
Team.
He was pretty young. And Sang was the best keeper in West Africa in 1983.
Was he also the goalkeeper in one of the commentaries that I've listened to, Sol Njai? This was 1984 for the 86 World Cup against Ivory Coast away.
Yes.
Yes, I guess it's Sangdong.
Yes, that's the same Sangdong.
I listened to that audio commentary, yes, about. And currently the technical director of the Gambia Football Federation.
Yes.
Of course, he's a good football brain. He was trained in Brazil.
Yeah.
He knows the game. The kid, as a kid, he was training goalkeeper at the beach behind the nursing school, started with Augustinians. A very stellar goalkeeper. I mean, he's seen his bad days, but his good days definitely outnumber his bad days. I've seen him do great things for the Gambia and his team, Hawks. There was a time where Hawks was the dominant team over coach for 1 year. I remember that.
I've been a big critic of coaches whenever they select their players. Yes, they have better knowledge than I do when it comes to football. They know their tactics in and out. But sometimes when they select players who currently are not in a competitive game, competitive in the sense that, like, for instance, they don't have a club where they're playing regular football, that's always questionable, and we've seen that sometimes in Gambian football. Yes, I am not the spoiler type. I'm not the one who, would distract, come on air to talk about a particular issues, especially when things are going good. But when they crash, obviously, we will have to come and pinpoint the coach. Everybody talks about the coach. He should have selected this player.
See, Mr. Gajaga,
yes.
When you miss out of your profession,
yes,
you will allow the weak people to see your weakness. And these are some of the problems of the coaches. There are times they'll have a problem with a certain player, and he is a key player, a darling of the football nation. But I mean, for that game, I'm not happy with you playing. You have to wait. So Mr. Gajaga will not like that. He will sit in there. I mean, Tijan has to play. Tijan is one of our key players. When I'm suffering much with Tijan in my house, you don't know you are outside. See, there are times, of course, coaches make mistakes because these are effects of, the profession where you I don't know what motivates that, as you said, where somebody has no club, he has not been playing, and you allow him to play in your national team. That's not normal. It's very abnormal. You will see that as an ordinary person.
Yes, of course, definitely.
These are the mistakes of a professional. So the non-professional will see the mistake of the professional. Because now you are picking it up.
Yep.
He's not playing football. He's not in a club. Now he's in the national team. And what is subject to happen is you have to be playing. So you have to continue playing.
We're running out of time, but Tijan, I have to come to you. Well, media plays a key role when it comes to the advancements of the country's football. You people were there, the Sol Njais, and as well as the people who, virtually started football commentary and the promotion of Gambian football. We were writing about it, talking about it until today. All the publicity, the internet has helped a lot. Everything has gone viral. People are talking about the game. But sometimes the negative aspect of it, pinpointing the blame game. Yes, of course, if things don't go right, that's our job. We should keep other people accountable. Of course, first it should start with us. We have to put our house in order. But how would the media help in the Gambia's drive to get something in this AFCON?
I think you just did. I mean, holding the coaches accountable and holding the players accountable. I mean, and also reporting the good. I remember days when I called games and I'll be 2 days later, I'll meet a player, he said, I think that motivates them. So the media, you guys have a very vital role in the preparation of the national team. You guys are the ones that should expose these players. Like, it's sad that if you go back to the past, we didn't have a lot of sports journalists who concentrated on sports. Like, somebody like Mas Axigai would pass down here, nobody knows him, right? You go to Senegal, his opposite number was Koya. Everybody knows Koya in Senegal. Everybody knows Laijao, the commentator. It was not the case in the Gambia. Now, we are blessed with good, young, talented brains like you, and you guys are doing such a phenomenal job bringing sports news to the listeners, bringing sport news to the country, particularly in social media. Now, when I go on Facebook, there are so much Gambian sports pages, Gam Food, Isona Sports, that are covering Gambian football. And I think that's good for the game. Like somebody asked me the other day, why Scorpions? Why is the national team named Scorpions? There's some history attached to it. The team should have been named Black Scorpions. People don't know this. But for political reasons, a Nigerian general during the Biafra War was calling himself the Black Scorpion. And, Sadara being the consummate diplomat, when it went to cabinet, they took the black out. That's why the national team is named Scorpions. And it was more so, it was selected by the people. People don't even know this. Many, many years, there was a young team named Black Scorpion in this country. So when they put out the news that we were looking for a name, people started sending names in. And this Black Scorpion.
Very, very interesting there.
So,
I will come to
so that's
Haji
why
Mas
it's
Aside.
important for you guys. Yeah.
On a high note, as we are getting into the tail end of the program, this issue of naming the Gambia national team, at some point, just under 30 seconds, they were saying that we should change the name of the national team because we are not qualifying. Lii dafa doy waaru léegi Scorpion léegi nañ ko def leneen ñu tuddee ko leneen. Maybe just under 30 seconds if you can say something
whether
about
succeed or failure doesn't make a namesake change. When you were born, you were named Gajaga.
Yeah.
Hadn't you been here being a failure in the street, will the Gajaga change?
Definitely not.
That's my answer.
Fantastic. Yes.
Let me just add on here.
Yeah.
When we were looking for a name, there was a young kid in Georgetown that sent a name, the Flying Fambondis. And he outlined that that name resonates with Gambian culture. Not only that, he went on to say Fambondi band were already popular in Europe. Personally, if I had to make the call, that would have been the name, because it does resonate with our culture.
Fantastic, Tijan, and thank you very much if you have been watching Q Sports. Very interesting, engaging these two people, Tijan Masani Sise and Alhaji Mas Axigay, former coach, diplomat, sports ambassador, and has been really doing very well when it comes to the development of Gambian football and sports in general. We will have much of this on Q Sports, but for tonight, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.